Are you ready to stop the self-sabotage and create the life you desire? Well, in order for that to happen, you need to break free from the bad beliefs that are holding your success hostage. You need to optimize the stress by turning it into extra energy for success. And those hurtful habits? Well, we need to give that pain a purpose for progress. Welcome to Stop the Self-Sabotage and Create the Life You Desire podcast. November is Stress Ourselves Till We're Stupid month. What do I mean by that? Well, did you know that when you're experiencing a state of overwhelm, a state of distress, which is different than eustress, spelled EU stress, that's good stress. This is what we would call bad stress. When you are stressed, your IQ actually drops 10, 15 points, all the way up to 40 points. I don't know about you, but I didn't have that many points to spare. And we're moving into the holiday season, which has its own stresses. And then on top of that, what's the media doing? It's telling us about how much more the holidays are going to cost us this year and how maybe we need to save up and oh my gosh, what should we do? And therein lies the challenge. See, when you get stressed to that point to where you're feeling stupid, your powerful mind will look to an authority figure to tell you what to do next. And the authority figure is the one that just stressed you out. So now they're going to be able to give you a suggestion while they cannot get you to violate your values. If you do have a value that you want to avoid pain, which most of us do, then you're going to go along with at least a modification of what they're telling you to do. So you watch the media, like the news, and they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, things are just awful. And then the commercial comes on and says, do you feel like things are awful? This is what you should do. You should buy our whatever. Okay, so what can we do? We need to learn to regulate our stress. We need to regulate our emotions because the area of your brain that fires off with distress, which is a subset of fear, is the same area of your brain that fires off with passion and excitement. The only difference is one is used for progress and the other one is used to avoid pain. Think about first responders and the stressful situations they're in. If a stressful situation shows up that requires a first responder, I am typically running away and they're running towards it and they're excited and they're like, yes, this is it. We got it. That's because they have learned in those experiences to actually use that emotional flooding as a way to lift them up instead of overwhelming them and drowning them. So this is what I want to share with you today, as well as a couple of other tips. And we're going to be working on this all month because I want you to go into the holidays where you feel empowered instead of enabling someone else with their fear mongering. Because here's the thing about fear. When COVID first came out, I was featured on one of our local news channels with the message that there is something more viral than any germ out there, and it's fear. And fear can be caught from somebody else in 1,000th of 1 second. Wow. So before it jumps from someone else to you and then you pass it to somebody else, let's do a pattern interrupt. Let's turn it around. When it hits you, you're actually going to convert it into energy to get more done with less effort. Because here's something else you need to know. The more you become aware, you're aware of why you do certain things, you have awareness around others, you're moving towards your goals. The more awareness that you have, the more stressful your life is going to be. I have an awareness when I sit down with someone that might be a friend and they're having a challenge, but they haven't asked me for advice. That's so important. They haven't asked me for advice. I have an awareness of what might be causing that challenge instead of just dealing with the symptoms. And I had to keep my mouth shut because they didn't ask me to engage. Maybe they just asked me to listen, to be a support, not tell them what to do. Because, boy, we want to just rush right into solving problems, don't we? Because that's how we were taught that we would get a good grade in school. Yeah, solve problems. The more complex, the better. You'd get a better grade, you go a higher level. That is not how our relationships work in the real world. We want to be designing a life, and you design a life based on your brilliance and what's brilliant about other people. I had somebody reach out to me today and said, "Hey, I've got a family member who's having some challenges and I want to get some ideas on how I can help them." And boy, they wanted to jump right in and tell the person what they needed to do. Well, the number one fear, boy, I'm covering a lot right now. The number one fear is the fear of being wrong. So we'll need to do everything we can to prove that we're right. And he was going to jump in and he was going to tell that family member they were all wrong. Well, what's the family member going to do? They're going to do everything they can to dispute this guy and prove that they're right. And that means holding on to their problem even longer. And why is he wanting to jump in and solve the problem? Because that's what he's been programmed and conditioned to do, thinking that he's going to get a great grade. Ain't nobody grading him on this. He needs to actually create an environment where he's bringing this person out at their best. Whew, because then we turn the stress into extra energy for success. We use it to light our brilliance because first you need to be able to stabilize the stress. And then after that, you need to prove to yourself that you can maintain that stabilization no matter what triggers come along. And then after that, you can use the stress to accelerate your performance, just like our first responders. I have to take a drink of coffee. Okay. So the first thing that we've learned, if somebody invokes a fear state in you, then you will listen. You may take suggestions on how to improve the quality of your life, but it could be suggestions that are only going to be beneficial for the person giving them instead of both of you. And you need to be empowered, not enabled. The second thing that we've learned is that the number one fear is the fear of being wrong. So if you go in and you decide to be an authority figure and tell somebody else they're wrong, they're going to dig in their heels and they're going to prove they're right and why nothing will work. And that you need to be able to regulate your own emotions because people are catching. So that's number three. People are catching what it is that you carry. Well, to be able to do that, you need to stabilize yourself when the stressful triggers show up, which is the reason why I love hypnosis, because then I use the triggers that are going to show up in your everyday life, such as the person who's telling you you're wrong. And I use hypnosis to say, you know what, take a moment, think about them, their voice, their mannerisms. Oh, yeah, because every time you experience them from here on out, your ability to be your healthiest grows stronger. So that way, it doesn't matter if the person is being a complete ass. They are actually going to trigger within you your ability to be freaking brilliant. But brilliant at what? This is when you need to know what it is that you value. So we have the core four values. We have certainty. That's the foundation of everything. Think of certainty like this. You couldn't get in a car and drive it if you weren't certain that the people that were in the oncoming traffic were going to stay over on their side. So there is a level of certainty, but certainty can be dysfunctional to where you are reliant on other people, places, and things for you to be okay. That's known as certainty that is safe. So this is where you can get addicted to food, or hiding out in your house, different things, to make it okay for you. What you really want is security. Security says, if it is to be, it is up to me. I need to learn to convert this distress into eustress. And then after that, once we get certain, if we get too certain, we get bored. So we go up to the next level. The next level is variety. So we want a variety of experiences. But that can show up as drama, crisis, chaos, confusion. People who have a challenge with what's known as panic and anxiety can be at this level. Their brain simply learn to get an emotional hit, but they don't want to get it that way. That is distress. Instead, they want to get it through freedom of choices, freedom of expression. So whenever I find somebody that is having a challenge with panic, there is typically an area of their life where they feel like they can't really be who they are. And we need to be able to create the boundaries, the safety for them to begin to express themselves in a way that is brilliant. Then after that, we move up to the next level, which is known as worthiness. Now, worthiness can show up dysfunctionally by you deciding to be a martyr and sacrifice yourself, or to be a savior. People can't do it on their own. They have to have you. Either way, you're going, look at me, look at me, look at me. Well, yes, we all want attention, but not that type of dysfunctional attention. We actually want worthiness, where we partner up with somebody else in a significant way. You bring your brilliance, I bring mine, and then we bring those together and we are able to create something spectacular. And then the final level after that is the level of love. We all crave love. We have to actually have love to thrive. It's been proven way back when with the rhesus monkeys, that if they were deprived of a mother's touch, a mother's care, a mother's love, that if they even lived, that they were going to be mentally and physically challenged the rest of their lives. So we must have love. But unfortunately, we've been taught to settle for the crumbs of connection. Instead, we want to be stepping up, and we want to be able to lead people to where they catch our love. We teach them how to love us. They teach us how to love them back. And then we've got this significance. We've got the freedom. And we've got the security. Each level encompasses that level as well as the levels below. This is what's known as the core four and values. And for you to manifest anything, a bank account balance, relationships, whether it's love or friendships, your weight, your overall health, your career, you have one of these that is one of your values, but you're probably getting it met in a dysfunctional way. Because the subconscious, which runs all of your habits and patterns, which is what I tap into whenever I utilize hypnosis, the subconscious doesn't judge. It doesn't discern. It just says, okay, I got to get this need met. And I'll go back to our previous programming and conditioning that says that we get it met dysfunctionally. And here you are trying to be healthy with it. And the subconscious is going, no, you never got my agreement on it. And if there is ever a disagreement between your conscious awareness, which is very stressful, and your subconscious, which runs all of your habits and patterns, subconscious wins every single time. Woo! Now we know why we're stressed stupid, right? So we have to know what it is that you value, which is the reason why all clients that come in to work with me, we get to take a values test. And this shows you what you're valuing, both functionally and in an unhealthy way. And then we go, you know what? Is this even the value that is congruent, that is harmonious with the goal you're going after? Because sometimes you need to switch values. Because if you have a level or a value of certainty, you have a high need of certainty, and yet you're getting back out and dating, hello, like me, and you're looking for love. Well, those two values are in conflict because I got to take mitigated risk. I've got to be abandoned, rejected, found unworthy, and found unlovable. Doesn't sound very good, except that I have learned to take all of that and convert it into extra energy to find the one that is a good fit for me. You can do the same thing with your goals. I'm just being transparent here, giving you a real world example as myself. So we need to know what you value. We also need to know what your motives are, because this is going to get you into action. Now, there are 5 motivators. There's status, there's control, there's autonomy, there's relationships, and then there's what's true and just and fair in the world. Well, you've got one of these that you keep relying on, but because the value is getting met in a dysfunctional way, the action that you're taking is then dysfunctional, and it continues to keep you locked in a cycle to where you're losing value. Okay. So then after that, what do we need to do? Well, we need to look at what it is that you fear, because what it is that you fear is keeping you stuck over in the dysfunctional side of the value. And we actually have to use that fear as a catalyst to move you forward in the same way first responders do. We take hypnosis and we give you a tool, and you convert that stress into energy for success. Keep in mind, you're only born with 2 fears, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Somewhere between 18 months and 2 years, you lose those fears. But the subconscious says, oh, we will not allow a void to take place. So then it looks at the people in authority around you, the ones that are spending the most time with you. Could have been older siblings, could have been a parent, a grandparent, a babysitter, and it's going, oh, emotions, fear is more viral than anything out there. So I'm going to catch whatever it is they fear, but then you personalize it to your own unique way of acting it out. Oh, so we have to actually begin to mitigate your risk and get you into the very thing that you fear, which is, I gave you the core 4 wounds. I gave you the core 4 values. Each one has a wound. I already talked about it. Abandonment, rejection, unworthiness, invalidation. Yeah, because you're doing it to yourself right now, because that's easier to handle than when someone else does it to you. You're fearing one of those. The idea is, can we convert it? Yes, we can. All right. And then after that, we have to move you into failure. Say what? Yeah. Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, says that for every 10 things you do, 8 you're going to fail at, 2 you're going to succeed. That's 1 out of 5. It's a numbers game. Most people, that there was a study done years ago, and most people stop at 1.2 things because they fail. Failure simply points out. It points out what you need in order to move into success. There might be a skill set that's missing. There might be something you don't know about yourself, about other people. You just don't have enough experience. I have a client that I'm working with, and she's getting back out into the workforce. And I said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to apply at some jobs that you'll never take. You'll turn them down because you don't have the experience in interviewing. You suck at it. So I need you to get the experience, get the real world. And then whenever they make you the offer, unless it really is something that is piquing your interest, you're going to tell them down, because then you feel like you're more in control. You have more power. Okay. So we have to move you into failure in a way where you will fail faster and you will fail forward. It's okay. And I know some of the people that I'm dating right now listen to my podcast, and I'm going to out myself. Whenever I go on a date, for a lot of women, when they decide to date again, they may do 1 date a week or every other week. And I stack them. This past weekend, I had 3 different dates, because I have to fail faster. I have to fail forward. If I am going to move into the love that I know that is waiting for me, I've got to close the gap as quick as possible. And that means going out and going, okay, that one, that one has possibility. That one, not so much. So I'm going to have to close the door on that one. What about you? What do you fear that is actually holding you back from failure? So that way you're not taking the action. Your motivation is stuck and idle, and you're getting your values met, but in a very dysfunctional way, which means that you can't regulate the stress that you're experiencing and you're being overwhelmed by it. Okay. So all of this creates an identity, a way you focus, a way you feel, the meaning you attach to things, and the actions that you take. We need to upgrade the identity, not just the actions, not just the emotions, not just the focus, all of it. We need to move you into the growth zone. But in order to do that, you need to be able to get past the terror barrier. And to go through the terror barrier, which I'm not going to talk about today, but to go through the terror barrier, you need someone to guide you. You're not going to be able to do it on your own. You're going to give up because it is just too overwhelming. If what I'm saying makes sense and you want to learn how to go from stressed to success in 6 seconds or less, because when I give you the tools, that's how long it will take in the beginning to turn that overwhelm into actually a wave that lifts you up to your next level. It takes you to greater heights of success with less effort instead of knocking you off your feet. If all of this makes sense, then reach out to me for a complimentary coaching call where I guarantee you will leave with one tip, tool, or technique that you can use same day to improve the quality of your life. I guarantee that. And then from there, you can decide whether or not you want to work with me because I feel like I've got to earn the right to be in your life. Okay. You can reach out to me a couple of different ways. You can go to canhypnosishelpyou.com. There is a button down on the bottom where you can set that complimentary coaching call, or you can go to dawnlandrum.com and also download a free hypnosis audio in addition to setting your free coaching call. You can also text me 636-699-7791. For those of you outside of the US, 1-636-699-7791. I will tell you right now, this is my birthday month. And so I have got something very, very special for you that is going to assist you in getting your goals. But you're not going to find out what it is unless you contact me. I am not putting it out for the general public. I only want to reward people who decide to take action because we've got to do that pattern interrupt. We've got to get you moving. Okay. So the last thing that I'm going to leave is that you have a preference for the familiar zone. You will continue to go back to it. And it's not the comfort zone because there's nothing comfortable about being stuck and struggling. But every time you try to move forward and you allow fear to dictate you what you to do, you go back to the familiar zone and it gets smaller. Some of you are feeling like you got a noose around your neck. That is going to explain why. It can't get any tighter. It is choking the life out of the quality of life you could live and design based on your brilliance because you keep trying to solve problems. We need to bring you out at your very best. I would be honored if I could assist you on that journey. Until we get together again, blessings on your brilliance.